Chapter 1, the assess on page 1670. I'm doing quite a lot, which is unusual for me. Assess is really how you assess yourself, how you did in the previous unit. So really I normally just do a few, but I'm going to do quite a lot of these. I like a lot of these questions. Some are grade D, some are grade C. There's nothing beyond top foundation level, but this question's quite nice. Question 6. No, 7. Right. David buys a car costing £16,458. He has to pay 1/3 of the price as a deposit. He borrows the rest on an interest-free loan. That's impossible. To pay back by equal monthly instalments for 3 years. How much is each monthly instalment? Let's take it a bit at a time. He has to pay 1/3 of the price straight away. So here we go. We take our 16,458 and let's pay up front 1/3 of that. In other words, divide by 3, grab your machine. 16,458 over 3. So he's putting down this much, £5,486. Let's get the leftover, shall we? 16,458 take away 5,486, and this is what you have to pay in monthly instalments. 16,458. Bam. He's got to pay this much over 3 years. Alright, now no interest involved, no 5% interest or nothing like that. He borrows the rest on an interest-free loan to be paid back by equal monthly instalments for 3 years. Now 3 years is 36 months. Just write that there for you. That equals 36 little blocks. In other words, I'm dividing this 10,972 by 36 and not by 12. He's paying it over 3 years, not 1 year. So here I go, final step. 10,972 over 36 equal bits. And Dave's going to have to pay, that's a funny number, well it doesn't matter, £304.78 to the nearest penny. Got to round it carefully. If you went 304 spot 777, you'd be wrong. You've got to round it off to the nearest penny, and 77.7 pence is basically 78p. Alright, so Dave's paying that off over 36 months. Alright. Next one, let's just turn over and see what we've got. Right. Question, what's this? This is ASIF, question 8 is really good. Right, he earns £8.37 for an hour, and he works for 35 hours a week. That's his normal basic pay. Now, he's going to get 1 1/3 times that amount, if he works every hour overtime. So if he works, say, 2 hours overtime, I need to calculate his new rate of pay per hour. And it's not 8.37, it's going to be 8.37 plus another 1 1/3 of that on top. So again, how many hours of overtime has Asif worked in a week when he earned this much? Well, let's work out how much his basic pay is before he even did the overtime. So what have we got here? We've got £8.37, and he's going to do that for 35 hours a week and get his basic pay. So here we go. 8.37 times 35 gives us £292 and 95p. That's his basic pay. Now clearly that is less than that, which means he's done some overtime. Let's find the excess now. So 337 spot 59, and take away his basic weekly pay, and we'll see how much he earns in overtime. When this thing stops getting glitchy, I'll be delighted. Right, that's that. 337 spot 59. He earns £44 and 64p in overtime. Come on, behave. Right then, now in order to get that pay, he wasn't paid this much per hour. He was paid this much plus an extra 1 1/3 on top of that. So if I take his new hourly overtime rate, it'd be £8.37 multiplied by 1 1/3. Is that alright? I can put that straight into my calculator. I'll just do this. £8.37 times 4 over 3. That's 1 1/3. I think I'll do that. £8.37 times 4 divided by 3. So his new hourly rate is, £11.16 as an overtime rate. He's working maybe unsociable hours or a Saturday evening or something like that. Now if I divide these two numbers, I should find how many hours that is. So therefore, hours of overtime equals his overtime pay, £44.64, divided by his new overtime rate of pay. So 44 spot 64, divide that by 11 spot 16. That's exactly 4 hours. I could have seen that, come on. 11 into 44, 4. 16 pence into 64 pence, 4. So it's 4 hours. So Asif did 4 hours extra overtime that week. Now, I like this question, and this is question 10. It says, which of these numbers is or are the reciprocal of 5/8? Let's study 5/8. Let's play with it, and then we'll come to some decisions. Right, not too glitchy. So 5/8 then. Well, that becomes, if I reciprocal that, becomes 5/8. I can express that as a, it's a top-heavy fraction, it's a mixed number. That'll be 1 and 3/5. That's equivalent to, makes it look pretty, 1.6 for example, and that's going down the top heavy fraction route, mixed number and then decimal. What else can we do with that? Anything else? Well, that's about it really. So I've top heavied it because I have to do it and I reciprocal it. I've gone into a mixed number and that's that, and let's see what we got. So do we have any of these answers? No. 0.65 is 5/8. 8/5, I'll definitely have that. 1 and 3/8, no, that should be 1 and 3/5, so no. 1 and 3/5, yes. 5/8, no, that's just identical, and 1.6. So I did all the work here, and these are my 3 answers. That one is the most basic reciprocal with nothing done to it. That's me changing it into a mixed number, and that's me changing the 3/5 into 0.6, hence 1.6, and that's all there is to that one. It's getting very, very sticky and glitchy around here. Not my fault. Now, interesting. Show that the product of a fraction and its reciprocal is 1. Okay, give me a fraction. Okay, a third. Give me its reciprocal. Well, that would be 1 over a third. If you flip it upside down, you get 3 over 1. Product, multiply. Here we go. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Please work. Yeah, that won't really do. You've got to speak in more general terms than that. So here's a fraction. Let's just call it 1 over x, for example, is a fraction, and its reciprocal is going to be x over 1. That will give us x divided by x, and x divided by x is 1. The fraction is reciprocal. 1 times x is x, x times 1 is x, x divided by himself is 1. So that's the best way to actually show that the product of a fraction, 1 over x, and its reciprocal is 1. I could get even more general actually, because I've actually assumed it is like 1 over 6 or something. Let's get even more general. I want to call it x over y. So x over y is a fraction, definitely. That will count for being a top-heavy fraction or a regular fraction, doesn't matter. Common fraction, a vulgar fraction. If I reciprocal that, I'm going to be y over x. Now I'm now going to multiply it. I've got xy. Again, this is even better than the previous one. All over, x times y, y times x is the same. And of course, let's show that we're cancelling out. X over x is 1. Cancel out again with the y's. Y divided by y is also 1. Therefore, my answer is 1. And that's a better proof than certainly better than the numerical one anyway. Let's just flip over, see what we've got. Right. This is question 13. Write 0.8128 as a fraction in its simplest form. Oh, wonderful. Had this not been a calculator unit, we'd be in big trouble. So we've got 8128 divided by 10,000. Alright? 4 figures, 4 zeros, 10,000. Right, well, you can stay there all day, you know, halving it, putting in some common factors, bringing it down, reducing it. Don't do that. Use your ABC button. So watch what I'm about to do. I'm going to go 8, 1, 2, 8. Then I'm going to hit my ABC button. See, that's the little division line there. And put in 10,000. Right, so I've got that. Now I'm going to press equals. What do you see? Can you see it from there? Right, I'm going to write down this. I've got this. I've got 508 all over 625. And that, although it looks like we've got some really big numbers there, cannot be simplified any further because this says so. Look at it. Alright, so that's simplified, and I've used the ABC button. It's just a little reminder, the A, B, C button, or the number over number button. I think one of these was shaded, one's all black and one's white, I think. Anyway, you just check your calculator, you use one of these two buttons, and you have fun. That's that one done. Next one, this is the AQA pretend type question on page 17. Lovely question, playing with fractions again. It says each fraction in this wall is the sum of the two supporting fractions in the wall below. In other words, these two when added will make that, these two when added will make a half, these two when added will make that. So we can start here and work out the missing fraction if you want to, but I'd rather start from the bottom and work up. So essentially I'm looking at a fraction here, so I'm looking for 2/15 plus something to make a third. Now again, I'm allowed to use a calculator, but I'm not. Just see what happens. So 2/15 plus some fraction makes a third. So the mystery fraction is going to be a third. Take away 2/15, common denominator 15, so that's going to be 5/15. Take away 2/15. Answer, that's called 3/15, and I can simplify that back down to, simplify that down to 1/5. So I know x is now a fifth. Alright, so 2/15 plus a fifth will make a third. Now, let's just do this one here, same way. Let's call this one y or something. So I've got here a third plus y comes to a half. I take it over and subtract. Y equals half. Again, these are equations actually involving fractions. So a half. So the common denominator is going to be out of 6. So that's going to be, went too quick there. That's going to be 3/6. That's what a half is. Take away 2/6. That's what a third is. Leaves me with a sixth. And so this part is a sixth. So here I go. So y is going to be 1/6. Now, I'm now left with this bottom space here. We call that not z. It's a bit, I don't know, hard to see z. They look a bit like 2's. So I've got here x plus y to make x plus w to make y. So I need to work out w. So a fifth is the x plus w, I don't yet know, makes 1/6. W is going to be 1/6 take away a fifth. Common denominator, of course, is out of 30. And that'll be, what's that? Times that by 5, so that's going to be 5/30 take away, that's over 30 as well. Multiply that by 6, so that's going to be 6. Actually, I don't believe that. That plus that makes that. Okay, so be it. So a fifth plus something makes a sixth. Ah, great. Okay, so the answer is going to be 5 take away 6. It's going to be minus 1/30. I'm going to check the answer book for that one, because that's a horrible little answer. If I've made a mistake, I will be back, but I think it's alright. So here we go. Okay, just check the teacher's book, the answer book, and do the same answer you've got, and it's completely wrong. This is correct, this is correct. They're saying this is 1/30. That's absolute rubbish. If you've got a fifth and you're going to add something onto a fifth, you're going to get an even bigger fraction. But actually a sixth is smaller than a fifth, so what are they talking about? The answer is definitely minus 1/30. So a fifth take away 30th will be 1/6. But they want us to add. Okay then, 1/5 add minus a 30th would give me 1/6. So I'm sticking to my guns. That's correct. Last question. The cost, this is question 2, I think it's a nice little question. The cost of staying in a hotel is £13.50 for the excuse me, for the first day. Now the cost for each extra day is £10.50, so it's worth staying on a bit if you can afford it. Eli has £75 to spend on his accommodation. He says that he can afford to stay in this hostel for 7 days. Did I say hotel? It's a hostel. Right, is he correct? Show you're working. In other words, don't guess. In other words, give an answer of yeah he can, no he can't, is irrelevant. You've got to show it. So he's got £75 first of all. We know the first day is going to cost £13.50. Let's see how much he's got left to spend in terms of his sleeping arrangements. So I've got 75 take away £13.50. He's got £61.50. Please note, quality of written communication. Don't just put down 61.5 just because that's what your calculator says. Remember, that's required. Now, if it's £10.50 per extra day, this money can be spent on extra days. So 61.50 divided by 10.50, we can see how many days he can afford. Right here, he can afford 5.87. So how can you have 5.857 days? No, if he can't afford the 6th day, he can afford 5 days. Therefore, can afford 5. This is extra days. Total days equals 6. Alright, now he says he can afford to stay in this hostel for 7 days. Therefore, he is wrong. Okay? He can only stay for a total of 6 days. Alright? Again, first day's been paid for, we've got some money left over, 5.8. I can see why he said 7, because many of you will suddenly round up and say, 5.85, we'll call that 6, but you can't. You have to spy whole numbers of days, not the majority of a fraction of a day. So, sorry, that's important that you watch that little step, it's tricky. Alright, so I'm going to stop there, that's the assess done, and I'm going to prep for Unit 2 sometime in the future.